The Angel of Light by Trevon Patton. Once upon a time, the kingdom of Lumia was being invaded by a fierce enemy called Housatan. At the edge of Lumia, at the front lines of the war, was the fortified town of Ubrek. Time and time again, the evil enemy battalions surrounded Ubrek, starving its population, attacking its small garrison of soldiers, poisoning its wells, and setting its gates on fire. However, the embattled town repelled Housatan's assault every time. This failure to crush such a small border town resulted in a surprise visit to the front by Housatan's highest military general, General S. Gorgon. "What do you mean you can't break through?" Gorgon screamed. One of the commanders stuttered. "Your Eminence, we have thrown everything at Ubrek, but we have not prevailed." "I can see that," the general seethed. "I gave you my best platoons, Rampage. Where are they?" Commander Thomas Rampage, known for the massacre of Walsiak, Tolas, and Berkes, replied, "We too suffered unexpectedly high losses. Forgive me, Your Eminence." "You idiots!" the general blustered. "This town was supposed to be smoking ash piles and splinters months ago." "General Gorgon, if I may," said a calm, eloquent voice in the midst of the chaos. "Yes, come forward," the general barked. A mild-mannered gentleman, dressed in all white with flowing white hair, emerged from the shadows. His perfect complexion and baby blue eyes made him seem more like a model than a soldier. The general grinned. "Gentlemen, meet Field Commander Angel Tchaikovsky, otherwise known as the Angel of Light. He will be assuming command of the Ubrek offensive." The room fell silent. "That is the Angel of Light. It can't be. He looks like a bride. This must be an inside joke. This guy is going to take command of the assault on a town like Ubrek. At least we will die of laughter this time around." Angel smiled and glanced along the map as the other commanders scoffed and muttered in disbelief. "While I appreciate comedy, gentlemen, it is the tragedies, the deception, the appearance versus reality that truly garners the tearful applause. I have heard enough of this circus already," Rampage snickered. "We have punished this town in every way possible. What are you going to do? Kill them with poetry?" "I might," Angel smiled. "The problem with you, Rampage, is that you have no imagination. Let me tell you a story of a town that has grown so used to hardship that they would do anything to keep each other alive. A town that has become hardened by cannon and musket fire. A town well-disciplined and fierce in the face of brutality. You have taught them well, Thomas. You commanders have trained them well. I am not going to fight such battle-hardened people." "You couldn't fight a ballerina," Rampage quipped. "Shut up and listen," the general barked. "What do you mean you are not going to fight?" Angel smiled and held his hand to his heart. "No, Your Eminence," Angel replied. "It is better to make love, not war." "Here we go," Rampage squinted. "Beneath that militaristic exterior, you are a romantic Rampage," Angel chuckled. "Everyone has wants and desires. We are human after all. Let us teach Ubrek there is no danger. Let them learn there is no need to fight nor fear. Housatan will secretly teach them to think only of themselves, to focus on what they can get over what they already have, to focus on the finer things of life, to splurge, to frolic, to exchange the value of people for things, to have at their carnal desires over the greater good of winning the war. Seduce them, Thomas. Make them soft. Would you rather eat your soup with bread or a stone? Respectfully, General Gorgon, it is evident that the Dancing Queen's elevator doesn't go all the way up to the top floor," Rampage quipped. "I know he has the highest kill ratio among commanders, but there is a point when crazy stops being funny." "Angel, go ahead as planned," General Gorgon snapped. "I am willing to go with crazy if it gets me results. Understood?" All of the commanders stood at attention. "Yes, General." The Angel of Light quickly rode to the front lines with the other commanders. "Rampage, tell our forces to retreat from Ubrek." "What?" "Pull them back enough to make the town feel at ease, but ensure that they cannot be reinforced. Make it look like we are abandoning our positions to support the advance in the north." Rampage hesitantly gave the order as the garrison at Ubrek watched the retreat in disbelief. "Also, Thomas, have the men leave some goodies behind at the encampment. Building supplies, weapons, ammunition, money. Firstly, the name is Rampage. Secondly, exactly whose side are you on, Commander? You're not fighting them, you're rewarding them. Angel smiled as the men unloaded new supply boxes and replaced them with those at the encampment. Some rewards are to die for Rampage. You will learn. With that, the Housatani forces retreated from their encampment and reorganized themselves in a manner that seemed they would force march north to the town of Ulan to support the offensive there. Ubrek spies soon captured a courier carrying a fraudulent letter signed by General Gorgon, confirming the retreat of Housatani forces to Ulhan to support the faltering attack there. In the letter, not only was the attack failing in Ulan, but Housatani forces were facing defeat all throughout the kingdom of Lumia. The people of Ubrek celebrated this long-awaited news, as liberty was finally in their grasp. Yet they had to be cautious. The enemy could still be around. However, it wasn't long before Ubrek scouts gave the all-clear. Ubrek was no longer under siege. Once they stayed clear of the river crossing to the north and to the east, they were safe. Moreover, Ubrek soldiers raided the enemy's deserted encampment and returned with wagons of looted goods. Muskets, rifles, cannonballs, ammunition, building supplies, and 2 treasure chests of gold coins. Every man, woman, boy, and girl was rich beyond their wildest dreams. They had never seen that amount of money before in their lives. Not only that, boxes were found in the Situation Room with falsified information regarding the demotion of Commander Rampage, letters regarding the discord and unrest brewing between the Housatani commanders, Commander Angel's unwillingness to fight in Ubrek, and Angel's convoy routes of food and other satisfying luxuries. The men of Ubrek couldn't believe their good fortune. "These conveys are unguarded," the men laughed. "We are fortunate to finally be given a Housatani commander that doesn't know what he is doing." The men of Ubrek quickly presented their findings to the town council, and an operation to raid Housatani convoys that evening was underway. It wasn't long before the people of Ubrek cheered as wagons of delicious, mouth-watering salted pork, bread, chocolates, enormous barrels of cheap wine, and large crates of tobacco flowed into the fortified town. Every night the town of Ubrek was washed in festive partying, drinking a seemingly endless river of wine, feasting merrily to their heart's content as the men blew plumes of tobacco smoke from the town watch. Everyone had gold, and many of the soldiers began to invest in land, businesses, and other monetary opportunities. Each garrison merrily put the captured construction materials to work, fortifying the damaged walls, replacing the wood on the town's gates, installing new ropes on the sentry drawbridge in the south, and rebuilding the markets in anticipation of increasing their fortunes at the end of the war. The town watch stocked the captured muskets and rifles, but it seemed as though there would be no need to use them. No one practiced their shot, no military proposals by military veterans, no training of new conscripts, no infiltration efforts to make contact with the rest of Lumia. Ubrek was enjoying the peace it long desired. The Angel of Light grinned as he watched the merry town from a ridge in the north. "Commander, how is our campaign going in the south?" "Not well," Rampage grumbled. "As we starve on a little more than biscuits and water, Ubrek has pillaged all of our loot, rebuilt their walls, gotten drunk on our wine, and are currently feasting away on what little delicacies High Command sends to the front." "So everything is going according to plan," Angel smiled. "Everything, including having us court-martialed," Rampage quipped. "Oh, ye of little faith," Angel chuckled. "Did you fetch what I requested?" "Yes," Rampage replied. "We scoured the local villages and gathered the prettiest heathens we could muster." "I hope they are pretty, Commander," Angel smiled. "Stage another convey near Ubrek and have your horse guards flee the scene as soon as their patrol arrives. Understood?" "This is crazy," Rampage quipped. "I hope Ubrek gives you the key to the city and make you the mayor before General Gorgon hears about this." "Yes, something like that," Angel smiled. At dusk, the town's gates of Ubrek opened once more to the sounds of cheers and jubilation. Ubrek patrols chased off the Housatani horse guards and led 5 covered wagons into the town. To the surprise of the residents, it was a convoy full of beautiful Lumian women. "The Housatani horsemen took off as soon as our patrol attacked," the soldiers exclaimed. "We took them by surprise," another shouted. "These cowards are capturing our beautiful Lumian women because they don't have the courage to face our men," another cheered. The town was now filled with Lumian pleasure women to the displeasure of the local Ubrek wives. Men were no longer returning home to their families every night, engaging in wild parties, prostitution, and extramarital affairs sweeping over the town. Pregnancies, love triangles, and late-night rendezvous allowed blissfully intoxicated soldiers to spill garrison defense secrets throughout the night. In the morning, the Lumian women would go to the Thales River to bathe, where they transferred vital information to hidden Housatani spies in exchange for payment. It wasn't long before the town of Ubrek was filled with drunk, pleasure-seeking, undisciplined soldiers. The barracks had become a gambling house. Town hall meetings were rife with strife and conspiracy over predatory post-war business deals, rising property theft, and political wrangling of Ubrek's new upper class. The churches were empty. The divorce courts were full. The pleasure women of Lumia used pregnancy to degrade the marriages of key civic and religious leadership figures. Lawmakers, who secretly financed the new brothels in Ubrek, were happy to relax home-wrecking laws, prostitution laws, and marital infidelity rulings in order to keep the powerful out of court. Many heroes of the Battle of Ubrek were now sleeping on the streets, self-medicating with cheap wine and tobacco in order to cope with the abandonment of their families. Every garrison, night watch, and patrol entertained Lumian pleasure women while on duty. Sodom and Gomorrah would have been proud. Yet in the darkness, no one noticed as the angel of light advanced slowly and meticulously from every direction. Artillery batteries and mortars crept into the high places and tree lines near Ubrek. Housatani guns quietly aimed at newly repaired walls, military installations, and the locations of the homes and meeting places of high-level leadership, given by Lumian pleasure women. The few patrols around the town were silently ambushed. Ubrek spies, found sleeping in the forest, surrendered vital information about troop numbers in each garrison to secure their own freedom. No one in Ubrek understood the danger they were in until the Angel of Light silently gave the order to attack. Housatani guns fired a terrifying opening salvo, causing the faulty construction materials used to repair and reinforce Ubrek's walls to give way. Many men fell to their deaths. Ubrek's northern garrison, though shaken and its guards inebriated, were thrown new weapons from the stocks, forming up a formidable defense of the breaches lining the town's walls. Yet the new guns misfired, and the ammunition taken from the Housatani encampment exploded as Angel's forces charged the breaches, leading to a mass surrender of the northern garrison. The southern garrison was quickly taken as well. Rampage, having learnt a thing or two from his new commander, dressed his saboteurs in the southern patrol's captured uniform, and they ran right up to the crossing of the newly repaired sentry drawbridge. Before the Southern Watch realized that something was wrong, the bridge was already lowered and its new hoisting ropes set on fire. These ropes, captured from Housatani storage, were mixed with incendiary weavings that set them ablaze in seconds when lit. Ubrek guards watched in horror as the drawbridge cables burnt to a crisp in seconds. The southern entrance was wide open. As Rampage stormed the southern gate, Ubrek opened up cannon fire to destroy the bridge crossing. However, the new cannonballs captured from the encampment exploded, killing and injuring many of the soldiers and engineers on the wall. As Housatani soldiers poured into the southern entrance unimpeded, many of the elite guards in the southern garrison fled its defense in order to escape Ubrek with some semblance of money and affluence. The eastern garrison was deep in the thick of battle, nearly routing the surprised Housatani invaders. However, the legendary ferocity of Ubrek defense was soon checked by their lack of sleep. To make matters worse, they soon ran out of ammunition to sustain the eastern defense, because their stocks held the majority of the captured supplies, including food and wine. The Western Watch was under intense bombardment from Housatani artillery. Many of the West's most valiant Ubrek commanders were already buried by mortar fire due to the detailed coordination information secured by Lumian pleasure women. The newly constructed walls and towers, built with faulty Housatani building supplies, turned to dust as mortars washed the night sky with terrifying flashes of light that made the night seem like noonday. Moreover, Ubrek's men were not even sober enough to fight with bayonets, let alone aim a musket. The wives didn't mind becoming widows, Rather than fighting alongside their husbands, some were reported to have shot at them. Getting a divorce was becoming rather expensive. Ubrek's leaders, if they hadn't been shattered by the accuracy of Housatani cannon fire, would have escaped with a fortune. Many elites escaped the chaos, however, leaving their children to defend the breaches in their stead. They would not fight for long. The surrender of the legendary fortified town of Ubrek took less than 2 hours. As the Angel of Light rode into Ubrek on horseback, he was followed by a chain gang of Ubrek's leaders who had attempted to escape the invasion. The once proud population of Ubrek were forced to stand along the main corridor as Angel and his commanders trotted triumphantly into the town square. Rampage winked at the Lumian pleasure women as he ordered them to return to their wagons. "This isn't war, Commander," Rampage chuckled. "We haven't beaten Ubrek. They have beaten themselves. Look at them, cowardly, unfaithful criminals, whoremongers, lovers of money, treacherous. This is not the Ubrek that we've been fighting for months." Angel smiled. "I didn't come here to defeat the Ubrek you have been fighting, Commander. There is always a lower, inadequate version of oneself hidden beneath the valiant surface. It just needs to be encouraged under the right conditions." "What conditions?" Rampage snickered. "Being too drunk to fight." "Being at rest in the middle of a war," Angel replied. "A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber and want like an armed man. Herein lies the tragedy, the illusion of prosperity, the illusion of safety, the illusion of comfort, the turning of the stone to bread, the desire for peace that was not hard won, the exchange of bland solidarity for daring and selfish immorality. Bravo, Ubrek. Such a tragic figure. You have wonderfully played your part. Now it is time to take a bow." Rampage stared blankly in confusion. "What are you talking about?" "Never mind Rampage," Angel smiled. "Burn it all down. I want General Gorgon to see the smoke from Mulan in the morning." "Now you're talking my language." Rampage grinned as he ordered the men to torch the town of Ubrek. The Angel of Light sealed his victory by ordering the destruction of Ubrek's remaining walls, aqueducts, grain silos, and library. He ordered the massacre of its leaders, the looting of anything that could be sold, and the salting of its fields, so that nothing would ever grow there again. The town of Ubrek ceased to exist. Its fearsome legend was forgotten, and its people were never heard from again. What are you truly sacrificing in order to gain peace? What debt are you actually incurring in your pursuit of prosperity? Christian soldiers, followers of Christ, you are in a war. Once you have truly decided to follow Christ, Satan will do his endeavor best to fight you. He will siege the walls of your trust in God. He will send wave after wave of attacks, seeking to humiliate you and paralyze you by making you doubt the overcoming power that is within. However, some of you will continually embarrass Satan on the battlefield by your steadfast love for God. You will become hardened fighters that do not shy away from the heat of battle. Yet if you long for peace not given by the Prince of Peace, peace and prosperity not provided by complete victory, then beware. The enemy will use what you desire to lure you to sleep. Satan will give you the house, the car, the job, the marriage you have always desired, the titles, the validation, the admiration, the lifestyle, everything except the noose. However, when you hang your existence on these cheap desires and abandon the kingdom's fight, Satan's trapdoor will open suddenly to your quick destruction and to the destruction of those around you. Do not allow the enemy to lull you into complacency. He does not sleep, and he knows no concept of mercy. If for 1 minute we are not taking this fight seriously, know that he is taking this fight very seriously. This is why we cannot cede an inch of the kingdom. We cannot beg for him to leave us alone or show compassion. Anything he gives you freely is a trick. As soldiers of Christ, we must seek complete victory, and not simply a retreat of the enemy from our homes and finances. We must battle with the confidence that our reward comes from God and not man. We must press the victory at every turn, not simply satisfied at the retreat of the enemy. Remember that any retreat holds the potential for a more experienced and deadly attack. Here are some scriptures that can help. 2 Corinthians 11:14. No wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary the devil prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Galatians 6:7-8. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked, for whatever one sows, that will he also reap. For the one who sows to his own flesh will from the flesh reap corruption, but the one who sows to the Spirit will from the Spirit reap eternal life. 1 Corinthians 15:34. Wake up from your drunken stupor, as is right, and do not go on sinning, for some have no knowledge of God. I say this to your shame. 1 Corinthians 6:9-10. Or do you not know that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived. Neither the sexually immoral, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor men who practice homosexuality, nor thieves, nor the greedy, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor swindlers will inherit the kingdom of God. If you enjoyed this story, please share it with someone else, and do remember to like and subscribe. This will assist us in getting more of these stories around the world.